Okay, welcome to today's class. Welcome to today's class. We're about to start. Please, as usual, let's maintain the normal decorum that we used to maintain. If there's a question that you want to ask, please, you just signal by raising your hand, and that question will be attended to. We also want to remind us that today is day 3 of the 10 days bootcamp on front-end development, basic web design. And so we are going to be talking about CSS today, um, how we can combine HTML and CSS together. That's what we want to do today. We started it in our last class, but we are going to continue with it today. So I'm going to open my VS Code, and then we'll continue from there. Please, if you are here, try to mute yourself until I allow you to talk, so that we will not get any other noise infiltrating into uh, what we are doing, because at the end, some people will want to listen to the video again. So please, I want to encourage you to do the right thing as we continue. So without a waste of our time, we go straight to what we have for today. From our curriculum that we shared on the first day. Today is day 3 of the 10 days bootcamp on basic web development. And so on the third day, we say we're going to introduce CSS and styling. So I'm moving over to my VS Code. Now, these are the code we have been writing so far. These are the code we have been writing so far. So we are going to start working on them. Now, what we're going to do today is do a bit of refined work. For instance, if open to 200, okay. So this is the state where we are as of yesterday, but we are saying that we can use CSS to refine this page and make it more beautiful. And how do we achieve that? We can achieve that by doing either inline CSS, which is this. Inline CSS starts with style, background color, whatever you want to do, whether background color or color of text. If you are doing color of text, you just do only color. Remember, as I always tell you guys, when it comes to programming, most of the time, for all the current programming languages that we're learning, the English that is allowed is American English. So when you see the color there, you see that there is no U. So these are simple things you must take note of, so that when you are working with them, and you can see that we did internal in our last class, internal CSS. So I'm going to remove this one so that we have an example of inline and internal. In CSS, there's what we call selectors. Selectors, simply put, are the things. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay, thank you very much for that reply. So in CSS, there's things that we call selectors. Let me go to our text. Yes. There are things that we call selectors. The selectors can either be the name of the HTML element, just like we used here. The selector that was used there is the noun, is the name. And you know, this is a special HTML tag because they are under the HTML semantic, either the name of the HTML element, or we are using the ID, or we are using the class. So we're going to introduce them. When you are saying ID, as the name implies, ID is for a specific element, while class can be used for a group of elements. And so the CSS rule, another thing we need to talk about, the CSS rule is in three. I think I asked this question in one of your exams. The CSS rule is in, you can divide it into three. You have the selector, you have the property. In this case, this is the selector. Nav is the selector. Background color is the property. Then you have the value. The value is pink. So that is the basic thing you need to know about CSS. But to really enjoy CSS, in most cases, you need to take your, you need to go above inline. Use inline only when it is necessary. Well, if most of the CSS, as is always the practice, is what is going to be implemented in other pages. For now, we are still on one page. But if that is what is going to be implemented in other pages, it is best to use not just internal, but external. And to do external, all you need to do is to come to the folder that you're working with. You can create a folder. Some people don't bother to create a folder, but I like to arrange my things. So you can see we have a folder for image. So, excuse me. So create a folder also for CSS. That's the first thing we're going to do. When you create a folder for CSS, what is the next thing you do? You create a file in it. So either you right click on it, you create new file and call it styles.cs. So once you name it properly, in VS Code, it will change to a hash symbol. It will change to a hash symbol. Any confusion, you are confused at this point, please let me know. Okay. So if there's no confusion, either after or before, so but that's either after or before, you can do this thing I want to do, but I want us to do it now. Now that you have created the file, the next thing for you to do is to come here, and link it. So how do you do that? You do link almost the same way you linked the favicon. Link REL. So you do style HREF. You put CSS, that's the name of the folder, slash styles.css. Close it. With this, Nothing has happened. Why? Because you are yet to put anything here. Now, there is something that you should put here first. But because we are practicing, I I prefer that you set a default for your margin, for your padding by using the universal selector. But for now, let's just see if we can replicate the what we have already. Now I'm going to cut what we have already off. I'm going to cut it off. For instance, I'm going to remove this type or remove it entirely. And I'll go back and let's see what happens with you now. Let's see what happens with you now. You see the background is no longer there. The background is no longer there. Sorry, I just want to confirm if we have people that raised their hand. The background is no longer there. And so let's go back. Now we can come here and paste in those things. But the difference here is that you don't need to put it inside style. The file itself is already named as style. Now that you have this and it is saved, if you go back, you see that the pink background will come back again. So if you have done this, you can clap for yourself, which means you are making progress. Now, other things you can do, you can decide to set, you can decide to do something like imagine in CSS, measurement is done in units. And one of the units is, let me explain that before we come back. Units are some of the units of measurement in CSS. We have the pixel denoted by px. We have the percentage. We have the percentage denoted by the percentage symbol. We have so many others. We also see EM and many others. So these are some of the units we use in measurement. But for now, let's say the margin, let's use pixel, say the margin that we want to use. Oh yeah, you raised your hand.
I wanted to tell you that your mic is mute.
Okay, maybe one Johnson has entered here and is playing with the system already, as you guys normally do. Okay,
Okay.
but it's on now. So what was the last thing I said I heard? What was the last thing I said that you heard? Please mute yourself. If you disturb us too much, I'll remove you. So please mute yourself. Hello, are we there? Ifunaya, what was the last thing I said that you heard before the mic got muted?
We're talking about margin.
Okay. So, but you were seeing the code that I was typing.
Yes.
Okay. So what we did was I just did the padding because I will explain it later. I just did padding so that we can create space between the text and the edge of the noun. So, and when you do that, like, so that you really see the effect of the padding, let me do it 30 pixels. Let me do it 30 pixels. So if I go back and try to refresh, you see padding creates a space between the content and the edge of, so you're saying at this side, give me 30, 30, 30. So if you use one straight padding like this without specifying margin, padding left or right or bottom or left, it takes 30 pixels all around and uses it to do whatever it wants to do. So that's the first thing that we need to know. Any other question? Any other question?
No other question, sir.
Okay, so let's continue. I'll take this to 5 so that it will not be too busy, even though it looks beautiful. So for now, let us, since we are playing around, let us leave it at that 30. So at least for those that like to see things that are fine, to see it that way. Then I'm going to make some adjustments to our code. I'm going to make some adjustments to our code. Please, let's try as much as we can to make ourselves. Please. Breakthrough, you are raising your hand. So what's your question?
Sir, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so I saw there's an assignment that was due yesterday. I want to know if it could still be submitted.
Yes, we said we are going to, we are not submitting it as per being submitted because here, all of you are big boys. Nobody is grading anybody. So if you like, learn. If you like, don't learn. So we're here to give you what. So the assignment is to help you learn something that will help you do more assignment that will be given. So if you don't do that one, you will not be able to do the other one. So the assignment is not for purpose of grading. I also said that when we have time after today's class, we are going to discuss and talk about it. The only person that spoke about it the last time was Susan. So it's not, so if we have time after today's class, we can talk about it more so that we learn it. Is a little soft skill that every young web developer will know. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, but I saw there's a point system attached to it.
Laboratory. Don't worry. Don't worry. Nothing has failed. So let's focus on today's class first. Are you listening to me? Hmm? Did you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's focus on today's class. Okay. So again, I talked about selectors. Uh, there are some times where you need to, uh, those ones I mentioned, where you can regard them as simple selectors, as the name, the ID, and the class. There are some we call combinators. As we go ahead, we will talk about them. Combinators, pseudo class selectors, pseudo element selectors, attribute selectors, and as many as we have. We are going to talk about the much that we can talk about. Okay. So to start our CSS, you can use what we call, or to continue what we are doing, you can use what we call external CSS, universal selector, which is the asterisk, and specify from the beginning. Maybe there's a particular um, background this thing you want for the body, you can specify it here. There's a particular font that you want, you can specify it here. There's a particular write-up that you want, you can specify it here. Whatever you are doing here affects all the elements. It selects all the elements at the same time and then do something on them. So for instance, we can come here now and decide to say what we want is to specify maybe the background color for everyone instead of just renowned. You can say, okay, what? And put the background color for all of them. Then we go to our sections. I will remove them. But I know that that external one that is working, we remove them. Then if I refresh, you see that everywhere is now on pink. So we can continue to add many things to it. For instance, we can come to we can do more things on the nav by saying that the color should be, since we are working with pink, we want the color to be black. We want the color to be black, or if you are using hex value, we want the color to be RJB. Right? Okay. Because for learning purposes is yeah. So let's do counting first. Right. So what is this saying? The text color should be black. Now, the text color that it says should be black is not showing black. Why? Because we have clicked, these are links, and we have clicked on them. So another thing you can do is to get another rule. I say now, and then you bring in the combinators. You can just say every child every child, that's every child that is A inside now should behave this way. So I can say, are you not seeing where I'm using the combinators now? So this one is a child combinator. How do you know whether something is a child? After you see now, the next thing you see is child. The next thing you see is a child. Now, you can decide if I do this like this, in the case of this now that we just did now, and this, both of them are going to give me the same result. The reason is because nav doesn't have any other thing inside. You can have something like this, maybe let us assume something like this is inside the nav, and then you have the inside it. If you have so okay, we'll use this one to explain. Let's do it like this so that we see the difference between using a child combinator and a descendant combinator. So this one is a child combinator. This is how you do comments. This is CSS. Child combinator. Direct type. Let me be very specific. Direct type. So some of the things you use in your human this thing, you see some of them, if you understand them, then this one is all descendant. Descendants. How do you spell it? Descendants. Yeah, but there are many combinators, but let's focus on these two and see what we're going to achieve from here. Now, see what we have for now. Remember, we are just using this one for practice. So let's look at it together. For us to really see the effect, let me have how we do that. Now we'll try the first one. Every link should have the color black. Now that we have clicked on it, is it going to work? So I'm going to remove the padding from here. I'm going to, okay, that will not work for us. Let's find another rule. So if that rule doesn't work, let's now say margin. Margin right is 5 pixels. Now, margin right 5 pixels. Let's see what happened. Are you seeing that it shifted them? Okay, to be sure that to explain and be sure of what we are doing, let's put another thing inside here. Direct run. So you can see that the margin that is affecting these guys here because they are direct child is not affecting them. Now, but if I come here and I decide to say, no, I don't want the rule to hold anymore, but I want the rule to be here. Now, the rule will affect everyone because all of them are descendants of now. All of them are descendants of now. Are you seeing it now? So this is one of the ways you can use the combinators to achieve anything that you want to achieve. So apart from using the normal selectors, you can combine two selectors together, talking about the child, the direct descendant, selecting one particular element and all that. So there are many ways you can use it. It's awesome. So, any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Some of you are good in some of these things. So, is there any contribution you want to make to what I've said? You have something you want to say to what I've said? So please go ahead and say it. So I like the number of people that are here today. I just hope nobody will complain that they are not part of the class. It's okay. So let's move ahead. If there's nobody to help us. So what are the things we're able to achieve already? We talked about selectors, element, class, and ID. We talked about how you know a CSS rule, how a CSS rule is divided, which is property, selector, the property, and the value. We'll explain those things. Then we have done basic styling. And we have done, apart from basic styling. Now, let me explain. I said I was going to explain padding. Padding is the distance between a content and its mother element. So, for instance, you can apply padding between sorry, I'm going to remove this. You know, I just did it for explanation's sake. I'm going to remove this. So what we should work with will be this guy. So how to work with okay. Okay. So there are many other things that we can do in these places. We can decide to say we added a picture to the header. We can increase the width. We can add a width to that picture. Because we said that the image tag has the width attribute. Can say the width to be maybe 100%. All these are units of measurement. So, but if you do it like this without editing the picture properly, is about. But let me do something magical that we're going to use to work. So now that the picture is big like this, let's just take a part of it and work with it. So I've collected that picture. It's in my screenshot. Going to carry it. So we are just improvising. Some of these things you are supposed to arrange them before you even start the work. You know, where you keep pictures is inside your images. Remember, that's what we're doing. So we're going to rename it for proper. Going to rename it. We'll call it header image. So our header image is going to be that way. So let's go and change it to if you do like this, it will show you that you have a header image. So if we go and refresh, see that you have something. So plan your I said it at the beginning. If you don't plan, you will be wasting time and be moving around. So the images you're going to use, you need to plan their dimensions, you need to plan their sizes so that they can fit into what you want to achieve. Okay. So let's assume this is somebody's website. This is a business website. You can see that we are already creating it. So the first section, you can decide to say this section, we are going to have a header. Sorry. This section, we're going to have a header, a heading. I'll call the heading something like our services. If we do something like our services, then we can add different divs in it. Add another div. Add another div. So let's work with 3 divs. With 1, 2, 3. So this is what we have now. We all have. So by default, because these things are in a section, you see the way they stack themselves. And in other times, you may see them on the row instead of being vertical. So you have your ability to manipulate these things so that they either become in one row or become vertical is the next thing that we're going to learn. But we are not yet done, so that I teach you properly how to style your nav. We are not yet done with the styling of the nav. Okay, so let's go back. Let's try to finish the styling of the nav as much as possible. Then we'll come and deal with those divs. Then maybe in our next class, we now style our form. We now style our form so that we see how far we can go. So we style our form and all that. So if we can see that the way we are moving, we are closing in some days. So we are going to bring in more content as much as time permits. And this is because I want to thank you guys. This is because Johnny Sin is not here. People are not misbehaving and not talking anyhow. So let's listen and learn together. If I'm saying something and you want to make a contribution, you want to ask a question, again, just raise your hand. I will allow you. But when that is not the case, please just try and mute yourself. So I'm going to go back to what we were doing. I said we need to add style. So apart from showing, apart from doing this to the nav, we can do some other stuff to the nav. We can do some other stuff to the nav by adding whether it has been clicked on, whether it has been visited, by adding those things. So if it has been visited, just like we're seeing, it will no longer show that default that we are seeing. It should show something different. It should show something different, not the default that we're seeing. We can then specify a color or how we want it to be. So these are some of the things that we're going to look at now. Okay, so to do that, you can say now. You see, you have many options here. You have active, you have after, but the one we want to use is whether it has been visited. So let's check. So we have active, we have view, we have blank, we have current, we have default, we have focus. So let's try focus. Focus. If the mouse is focused on it, what should we do? If the mouse is focused on it, what should we do? You can tell it to have a border, a black border with one pixel at the solid. So let's see how this goes. So refresh. If that is not working, let's see. Okay, we'll come back to focus. Let's try this again first. If it has been visited, let's change the color to which other color will be good. Let's change the color to blue. let's see the X value. Okay. Okay, that first. So you see something. Okay, let me just, oh, you can see what is causing it here. Let's see, this is failed. You can see that the color has changed. So the three of them have been visited. Correct something. Three of them have been visited. What other thing can we do? If we can also add to that focus is supposed to work. And we'll talk about all this end child, last child. Let's talk about mouse. Okay, if that will not work, let's talk about on hover. So when you hover, I think what I wanted to do with focus can work with hover. When you hover, you want the color to be white. Want the color to be white. And so we're going to do want the color to be white. Are you seeing what is happening? This is not the only thing we want. When you hover, we want it to have a border. A border. Okay, since it's going to the right, let's see the border that is blue. Just that is 1 pixel, and that is solid. So check it again. So you can see it. So depending on the ability you have to add one or two things. You can also say when you hover, if you have a padding. No. Let's leave padding for now. Okay. You can add padding. But I'm just playing around and to come to our 5 pixels. You're seeing it. So one more thing you can add now with a direct side A on, okay, no, let me add it here. Border region. So let's give it some rounded 5%. Let's give it some rounded edges. If 5% is not enough, let's see what 50% will do. 50% is going to make it a circle, so we can let's reduce it to maybe 20. So you keep working on it until you achieve what you're looking for. Okay, I think I like this one, but I want the background to also change, not just the border. I want the background to also change, background color to be complex blue. So, okay, so you also see underline. This is the one that comes with it. So you can also remove that underline by coming here to say text decoration. No. If you do text decoration none, it goes up. So these are some of the things you can do with your nav. Any question? Peter, you're here. Ask me question or Joanna, ask me question. Davis. People should ask me question or okay. So which means people understood everything I've been saying since. Okay, so let's move forward. These are some of the things you can do with your so let's also play around with this area of services and see what because of the CSS box model. Let's see what we can achieve from there. And next time we talk about so now we're going to start talking about classes and ID. Now we can use a class to do this whole stuff by because of what I want to teach us, I'm going to move this header up. I'm going to move this header up so that we can use some pseudo selectors. Now, if you check here now, we have moved from normal selectors to using all these visited, hover, because they know CSS creators know that people will always need some of these things. So I'm moving it up. Nothing changed. It will still show the same. So, but let's work on div 1, div 2, and div 3. So div 1, div 2, and div 3. There are many ways we can do it. I'll come here and come to CSS. I'll come down and say section. Remember, section is a how do I call it? Section is one area that we have here. And inside section, we have 3D. So we want the 3D to be like a box. We want this one, the second one to be on the same line with the first one. The third one to be on the same line with the other one. So what do we do about that? We can come here and we say display flex. When you say display flex and refresh, you see all three of them in one line. So the flex box is one way we can do layout. We can arrange layout. If you press you on the one, we said we're going to talk about flex box on the fourth, but you can see that we are moving ahead. So with that simple code, you make all of them fall in one line, if that is what you want. So the next thing you is to now look at, so are we dealing with them as direct children? Yes. So let's say all the divs inside here, we want each of them to have a width of 30%. Want each of them to have a width of 30%. We want each of them to have a border instead, okay, you can go with the border. Any question? Can go with a border of
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead with your question. Go ahead with your question, please. He said he has a question. Okay. Until the person responds, we'll continue. So, while I'm giving borders, the thing is coming with. This border will not show until I add the size. Just doing all these things to show you some of the possibilities that you have. So you can see your full page is regarded as 100%. So what we have used is 90%. What we have used is 90% because I said 30 plus 30 plus 30. That was what we used. So it's remaining 10%. So how do you manage that 10%? You can come here and say margin. Right. Margin, right. 5%. If you do that, you're going to cause problem because you say here you should shift 10%. This one should also shift 10%. So 5%. So you have used, if this one takes 5%, this other one takes 5%. You have used the whole of the remaining 10%. So which one is this one going to use? Let's refresh it and see what it will do to us. This 30, 30, 30. And then they are doing 5, 5, 5. They have a way of rearranging themselves, but this is not what you want. This is not what you want because each of them is taking 5, 5, 5, which means they have, in a way, rearranged themselves to take the position that you want. And one, this is not what we want. And this is not the design that we want. We want a situation where this third one will also be at the edge, just like the way the first one is at the edge. Let me color them so that we really see what we are talking about. Maybe we should remove this, our general background. Let me add cross sizing for that box. Okay. Okay. Now, how do we solve the problem of removing this thing? We can solve that by coming here to say selector or section. Section, if it's a direct child, that is a D, but is the last child. But is the last child. It should not have any margin. The margin right is 0. So we refresh again, and you see that everything is now in order. To do more, we can also come here. We have talked about width. We can add height to make it a bit big. We can add height and say height is 100. Let's do 400. So most all of them is like one color. So this is what we have been able to achieve. How did we achieve that? So, but I'm seeing that the spaces I have here is too much. What can I do to reduce them? I can decide to go 35, 35, 35. If I go on 35, 35, 35, which means I will have 35 plus 35 is 70 plus 30, 35. 70 plus 35. No, that will also be more than 100. So how much can I remove with 10 and I can still manage it? I can say maybe 33 plus 33, so 90 plus 9 is okay. So so how many will I take that will give me, say, 98? Somebody should help me. How many will I, what width will I take that will give me 98? Who is there to help out? 98 divided by 3. So we can't achieve anything like that. 98 divided by, okay, if we have 99 divided by 3, that's 33. So let's see whether we can work with 33. So if you say 33, means we have 1 remaining. If we have 1 remaining, then means we're going to do 0.5. I hope people are understanding the logic. Who is confused? Okay. Everybody, all of us are on the same page. If nobody's raising his hand. Okay. So, okay, having achieved this, there are so many things you can do here. You can decide to add content. You can decide to so let me make the border side 5 pixels. Okay, so with that, you now see that the dotted is not fine. So let's do so the how you want your site, the beauty you want in your site is dependent on you. The ability you want in yourself is dependent on you. There are so many things I can do. I can also come here if we are talking about this. Now, I've done generally for all these beef. I can say, see this last strike, if I still want to play around. I can say text, sorry, I can say flex direction. Let's try row invert. Let's see what will happen. Okay. Somebody's tired. No, okay, it's not here. Flex direction. Let me show it for something. Where did you apply flex? Are you seeing it now? But before you do that, you should be careful. So you're saying before you do that, you should be careful. It's just to tell you that you can flip your divs. It's just that simple. So, but I'll take it back. But it has already scattered. But you said we shouldn't have this. It has already scattered what we have. Unless you are going to remove it from this one. So depending on what you want to achieve. Any questions? Let's go and digest this one. So Susan, are you with your system to demonstrate for us that GitHub pages? Susan, are you with your system to demonstrate for us GitHub pages? All these things, we will combine them together to create a very good page. After our next class, I'm going to give an assignment that will be submitted via the GitHub page. Okay. So which means the assignment is still continuing. And then maybe when we finish our next class, I will now maybe create time since we are going very fast. I'll now create time, maybe add it as one of the things to describe to us. Since we are not good at doing assignment, except it's going to be graded. So any question? We can end the class for today. Any question? If there's no question, thank you very much. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. We love you, sir.
I love you too.